Principle 5. Making sales is good. Being profitable is better. What's your name, sir?
Gina.
Gina. So Gina was talking about this point earlier. Okay? Successful business people know whether or not they're making money. Now, some of us don't want to know. Why don't some of us want to know? We don't want to face the reality of having to make changes to get to profitability. Because we like the comfort zones. We all like the comfort zones that we're in. We may not want to fire somebody, including ourselves. Right? We may not want to hire somebody. We may not want to change the way that we're investing money in our business and not investing. We may not want to learn the scripts necessary to really run our business properly. We might not want to do any of those things. If we don't want to do those things, then nothing will change. So, where is your business coming from? Do you know that? And something that David's been working very diligently on lately is, he's been working everybody here know David Hill, by the way? I think most people know who David is. We'll talk about him a little bit later. But David's been working very diligently on where he's lead generating and prospecting. That's going to give him the highest probability of success for his time and give him the highest commission checks at the same time, right? So he's scouting out where he should be lead generating, not just lead generating haphazardly. If I go through those doors right there and pull up the computer and show that in a certain zip code that the average days on market for properties in that zip code is 280 days, and the days on market for properties in the next zip code over 140 days, where am I going to prospect? Into the neighborhood where days on market is 140 days, right? Absolutely. So you have to know your numbers. Where's your business coming from? Do you have a profit and loss statement? And for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, what a profit and loss statement is, what's your income minus your expenses, what's left over? And hopefully there's something left over. Okay? So income minus expenses, what's left over? Are you working to eliminate unnecessary expenses, and are you negotiating to reduce costs wherever possible? Now, in today's economy, there's no such thing as only $50 or only $100 or only $30. It all adds up. Because in order for you to make $100, you actually have to generate a lot more income than $100 to put $100 in your pocket, right? Because you have business expenses, and you have taxes to pay, and all that stuff. So there's no such thing as only 100 or only 50 or only 30, especially if it's 100 a month. Because 100 a month times 12 is $1,200. You've got to generate a lot more than $1,200 in income to have that $1,200 available to pay your expenses. So knowing these things is very important. But there's one formula that I want to show you that can really dramatically help you change while you're fundamentally doing business. Okay? So pay close attention to that. And if you don't understand the math, don't worry about it. I was terrible at math. Absolutely terrible at math. However, I'll teach you the bottom line to this formula in a moment. Let's say, as an agent, it's costing you $5,000 a month to run your business. Now, some of you are saying, $5,000 a month? No way it's costing me that much. Well, for some of you, it might be $2,000. For some, it might be $5,000. For those of you who have teams, it could be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Who knows? We're going to say $5,000 a month to run your business. And let's say that you're working with 10 qualified clients right now. Could be 5 listings that are priced to sell. Could be 5 buyers that you've qualified. They've already been to Julia, Chris, or somebody on their team, and they're ready to go. Okay? They're qualified. You're working with 10 people. Your monthly expenses are $5,000. This is the part where I'm glad you're sitting down. It's costing you $500 a month to work with each one of those people. What do they have invested into this? Zero. Nothing. Not a thing. And you've got $500 a month being invested into every single one of those relationships. Well, let's say it wasn't 10 people you're working with. Let's say you're working with 5. Now you're investing $1,000 a month into each one of those relationships. If it's $2,000 a month to run your business, and I can promise you, I can show every single person in this room, at a minimum, it's costing you $2,000 a month to be in business. Every single person in this room, whether you're part-time, full-time, whatever, minimum is $2,000. And you're working with one qualified client, it's costing you $2,000 a month to work with that person. Wow. That's a pretty tough reality, isn't it? Right? But these are the facts as business people that we have to know to properly run our businesses. We're going to say in this case, for this agent, it's 90 days from the time they take a listing or start working with a qualified buyer to the time they get paid. Now I know in some areas that's probably not true right now. Could be 180 days, could be 240 days, could be whatever. We're just using 90 days. So for this agent, it costs them $1,500 to work with that client from start to finish. Okay, does everyone get that part? Very good. For this agent, what must be their average commission to be profitable in working with their clients? And don't say $1,501. Okay. What must it be?
2,500.
Who said that? Very good. It has to be at least 3 times what it costs to work with a client. If you learn nothing else today, this point's very important. Whatever it's costing you to run your business, your income must be at least 3 times that amount. At least 3 times. Whatever it's costing you to run your business, your income has to be at least 3 times that amount. That's because in this case, the first $1,500 goes to pay for the expenses of working with the client, right? The next $1,500 or so is going to pay what? Taxes. And the next $1,500 is going into our pockets. Now, most people forget about the taxes part. Listen, that's normal. Okay, when you're in business and maybe your cash flow isn't as strong as you want it to be, and you're taking the money immediately to pay for your bills to stay in business. I mean, I understand that. However, with this formula now, you must understand that if you're not going to make at least 3 times the amount of time and energy you have invested in a client, you're losing money. And this is why it's so important to properly qualify buyers, right? Know their motivation, make sure they're qualified, make sure they can close the transaction or have access to the cash to close the transaction. Or when you're working with sellers, they're going to properly price the home. Because if they're not going to properly price the home and list it at your recommended listing price, you will lose money. The only other option is that if you have come to some sort of pre-approved price reduction or price improvement schedule that you've agreed to up front. And even I don't like that. Or some people, to get over the nervousness of the situation or whatever, will do that. So they'll go to the seller and the home's, you've done a CMA at $275, they want to list it at $315. You say, great, I'll take the listing at $315 as long as you agree that within 7 days it goes to $299, within 14 days it goes to $285, and within 21 days it goes to $274.9. Right? If not, you're going to lose money. So everyone get the bottom line on this formula. Whatever it's costing you to be in business, your income has to be at least 3 times that amount. If you're working with buyers and sellers that you're not properly qualifying, or they refuse to list the property at your recommended list price, you've got to think seriously about walking away and not taking that listing. Let somebody else lose money on that one. And on the flip side, has anybody seen any listings expired recently? On the flip side, you can be the agent who specializes in getting homes sold when the previous agent couldn't. I don't see anybody writing that down. And that's a very, very powerful approach. You can be the agent who specializes in getting homes sold when the previous agent couldn't. Because if you take a look at the number of listings that are expiring, they're all expiring for one reason and one reason only, and that is what? Price.